Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Talent Culture's T-Chat Radio. The World of Work is live now on the radio with Megan M. Biro and Kevin W. Grossman, because middle initials count.
Come down, turn the radio on. Take my hand, turn the radio on. Come on, my favorite song, baby. Let's dance, turn the radio on.
Welcome, everybody out there in Talent Culture T-Chat Show land. It is Wednesday, April 29th, our second show at our new T-Chat time of 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. With you, as always, is Kevin W. Grossman in sunny San Diego in the ERE Expo. And with me, as always, is the lovely and talented Megan M. Biro. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, community. What's going on?
What's the good word?
Lucky
Are you
you.
home? Are you home this week, Megan?
I'm home this week. I'm in Cambridge today, and it's cloudy and cold. I don't know what happened in spring. Not good.
I know, that's what I heard. You know, I ran into somebody at the show, met a gentleman from Maine, and he said this last weekend that it snowed.
It snowed. We have, notes on out, and I'm about ready for a change of scenery, which I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Kevin W. Grossman, Cork, Ireland, early next week. So that should be good. And somebody should really give us a shout-out about what the weather is in Cork, Ireland right now. I'm kind of curious.
I know, they
Hoping
should.
the sun's out.
Please do. Indeed.
It's
green.
It's green. There you go. Thank you, Shep. Exactly. So real quick, because we want to get to our great guest today and talk about a very, very important topic. And before we do that, real quick, a shout out to our friends and sponsors, Dice Jive, TalentWise, Hootsuite, IBM, Career Builder, PeopleFluent, the Predictive Analytics World for Workforce show, which we co-sponsored with them, and then as well as our social analytics partner, HR Marketer Insight. And then a very special shout-out to the Candidate Experience Awards, which we had a great, wonderful wine tasting event last night here at the Recruiting Expo that I'm at with the Candy folks and lots of great practitioners and thought leaders. So that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Megan, yes.
Shout out to all of our friends and sponsors, and especially those who are active in the Candidate Experience Awards. We're both really proud to be part of that.
Indeed. And, and again, so gosh, just can't wait to go to Cork, but we got a great show first before we head out over the pond. So tonight, that's funny. It's actually tonight in our new European time zone. So there you go, right? So I'm not too far off there.
There you go.
Nice cover, right?
It's all that cheap Chardonnay you had last night.
No, I actually had some really good stuff last night. But anyway, that's another story. So today, okay, here we go. Last week we talked about how to deal with bad bosses, which was a great show. And this week we're going to talk about why internal customer service is so important. And we're talking about internal customer service in your workplace, in your company, whether it be public, private, nonprofit, whatever the case is. We're talking about everyone being a customer inside the organization. We always usually think of it as sales and marketing process, but we're talking about every single employee, whether they have public-facing responsibilities or not, and how to better service those customers to improve engagement, and, of course, which reflects outward from the organization itself. So if you're listening today, and, of course, we hope you are, participate in the Twitter chat during the show, hashtag TCHAT, T-Chat, and then we'll do, following the radio interview from 1:30 to 2 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 to 11 a.m. Pacific, we'll do the Twitter chat with our guest Shep as well. So without further ado, Megan, let's introduce our guest.
Let's do it. Welcome aboard here to the community, Shep Hyken at HYKEN on the Twitters. Shep is the Chief Amazement Officer. Okay, I thought I heard every single job title ever created, but this one's new for me. I've got to be honest. He is the CAO at Shepherd Presentations, a customer service expert, keynote speaker, and New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. Shep works with companies who want to build loyal relationships with their customers and employees. You could find out more about him at Hyken.com. So nice URL there, by the way. Nice personal brand move on your part, Shep. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, it is me. I am the guy, Hyken. I got that Hyken.com years ago, right when URLs started being sold. I had no idea that I would have set all my relatives across the country and in other parts of the world. How did you get Hyken.com? That's not fair. I was the first one to step up, I guess.
Well, there you go. I can't help but notice your accent. I'm kind of amazed. People amaze me, obviously, but I'm also amazed by where people are from and how that forms their personality and all that stuff. So tell me, Shep, where do you hail from originally? Where do you live now? And tell us just a little bit more about your background and what led you to what we're talking about today on the Talent Culture T-Chat show.
Sure. Well, actually, my accent should be no accent at all. I have that Midwestern no accent, the one that the newscasters want all over the country. And I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, home of the St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Cardinals, and hopefully, who knows about the St. Louis Rams, but I'm hoping they'll stay here a little while longer. So that's where I am from. I have been doing what I do, which is helping companies amaze their customers for about 32 years. I know that makes it sound like I'm really old, but I did it right out of college and started working with companies on how to create amazing experiences. If you have customers that walk out of your place of business, and you can call them customers, clients, guests, whatever, and they go, wow, that's a great place. I love those people. Those people are amazing, or whatever. Comments like that, we help our clients deliver that level of service.
When you say we, are you talking about a split personality that you might have, or are you talking about a team of people you work with?
We've got a team. I mean, obviously, I write the material. I've written the books, and I go out and deliver my speeches, and I write a lot of the articles. But we have a team here that supports our clients. We have online virtual training, which is really a cool concept, and it's just getting better and better every year. The technology steps up. We also have several trainers that work with me that go out and deliver the material on a deeper level, that training, multiple-day type program.
Very cool.
Excellent.
So do you have a virtual company culture, or are you guys all kind of interspersed around the globe?
Well, we have my office here, and there are a number of people here, and then my trainers are wherever they are training, but only one of them lives in St. Louis, and the others live in Alabama, and actually two. I just brought on another guy. He started doing more work with us, and he's in St. Louis as well. And we've got a guy up in Ohio, and it's just been a really good, great opportunity to expand the message.
So Shep, first and foremost, and I actually want to loop back towards the end of the call and turn it inwards on your organization too, because I think it'd be great to have you practice what you do every day with your own internal customer service. But first, why is it so often today internal employee, quote-unquote, customer service often so neglected?
Well, I think that most people think that customer service is just for customers, but what we try to teach our clients is simply this. Number one, customer service is not a department, it's a philosophy. Everybody's involved, and everybody has to understand who their customer is. Years ago, Jan Carlson wrote an article and then subsequently a book titled Moments of Truth. And he said that the moment of truth in business is when a customer, and he ran an airline, so it was a passenger of an airline, when that passenger came into contact with any aspect of the airline, they formed an impression. And he told this to every one of the employees that worked at the airline. And then he said, I know a lot of you probably don't think this applies to you because you're, in the back room handling the baggage, or you're doing something, technology-wise, whatever. And he says, but if you're not actually dealing directly with a passenger, what you do supports that person who does, or maybe supports the whole process. You have an internal customer, and you need to treat them the same way you treat the outside customer. So the first and foremost thing that companies have to do is define who their customers are internally. So whoever is dependent upon me for anything that I do becomes my internal customer.
Exactly, and which literally is technically everybody, right? I mean, because every single moving part in an organization, and not only the permanent employees. I mean, I would argue even the contractors and the vendors that you do business with that impact anything that you do public facing to a certain degree are levels of customer, right?
Right. One of the things we do with our clients is we create this, today they call it a journey map. I used to call it the customer service chain of events, and it was all very frontline focused. We had this chain across the top, and each link of the chain was an interaction that took place with the customer on the outside. And by the way, I'm using the term customer. It could be client, guest, member, whatever. Underneath each one of those chains, we talk about touch points at the surface, are impact points. And those are things that are happening behind the scenes that impact that front line. And I will argue with anybody in any company that I can find a place in this journey map, either on the touch point front line or the impact point behind the scenes, that incorporates their responsibility, which means that everybody some way, somehow is impacting that service experience that that customer on the outside is having.
Yeah, absolutely. Hands down.
And we know that so oftentimes this is all about vision, right? Vision for leaders, vision for talent management, employees, right? Everybody in between. I mean, that's got to come from within first, I believe, both from a leadership perspective and from employees as well. Kind of interesting, when you start talking about what is HR or talent management's role in some of this stakeholder process to create this kind of culture or service awareness. And where do companies start with this? Because we're all becoming ambassadors, right? We call them brand ambassadors, something I've been talking about for a number of years, that, your employees within are some of your most potential and fabulous brand ambassadors for your products and services and for your culture. Where does that all begin from your perspective?
Right. So I've heard about 4 questions there, but I'm going to narrow it down to 2 of them. Okay. So
answer them all,
two big ones.
Now.
Yeah, the 2 big ones that I hear are, number 1, where does it begin? And number 2, where does HR serve in this function? Because I think, and let's talk about where it begins first, because it has to begin at the top with leadership. And I have this 6-step process that I tell my clients that every company goes through to define their culture and to achieve their culture. And the first step is to define it clearly so it can be articulated. Ideally, I think it should be articulated in 1 sentence or less. You look at what the Ritz-Carlton does, where they have their credo. It goes like this: we're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. That's 9 words. And when you tell somebody that comes to work for you, this is what we do, they get it. And then when you tell the guest of the hotel, this is how we treat our guests, they get it. It's an amazing credo. I like to refer to it as a mantra because it's so short and simple. But once it's defined, it needs to be communicated. Once it's communicated and people hear it, then we need to train people to it. And then once they're trained, we have to have leadership and management demonstrate it to make sure that everybody knows you treat the people you work with and you treat your customer basically the same way. Maybe you treat the people you work with even a little bit better because you want to model that behavior. If they go out of alignment, you have to defend it, okay? And that means you get people back in alignment. And then finally, you delight and celebrate in it when it's working. So that's the process. It all starts with leadership. But let's talk about the talent management and HR side of it. And I think this is real crucial. You got to hire the right people. End of story. Right. So HR has to understand the culture perfectly, and then they've got to hire to that culture. And it's not just hiring somebody with a great skill and even with a great attitude. The personality also has to fit with the culture. So you throw that into the mix, and it's really HR's function to do that. That's first and foremost. And second, a lot of training falls under HR, and I think it's incumbent upon HR to have a great onboarding process for anybody new that's coming on. Disney used to have a program called, it still does, by the way, a program called Traditions Training, where every employee, regardless of what their job is, and they call their employees cast members, but they could be working in the executive office, they could be sweeping up the trash, taking a ticket, working at a hotel. It doesn't matter. They have to understand the basics and the traditions. But you can't stop there. HR has to make sure that the message is reinforced over and over again through messaging and through additional trainings, be them major trainings or small little trainings. Some companies take 10 minutes a week and remind everybody the importance of delivering great service. And they do it week after week, and it's just part of what they do. It's part of their DNA.
So in your opinion, who are the primary stakeholders then when we talk about creating this experience? What I heard from you is it's coming from leadership. Are there any other stakeholders in that process? Well,
I think everybody becomes a stakeholder depending upon how they view their position. And I look back at what Herb Kelleher said years ago when he was talking about the true stakeholders of that company were the stockholders, the investors. And I personally think there's other stakeholders. Anybody that has a responsibility, that's it. That's what they're in charge of. But what Herb said was so good, and he called it the word, it was like he wasn't sure if it was right. A conundrum. He called it a conundrum. And he said, I wasn't sure. But people said, what's more important, the employees, the passenger, or the stakeholders, or the stockholders, actually, is what I think the better term would be, and the investors. And he thought about it, and most people would have thought, well, probably most important would be take care of that passenger. And he said, no, take care of the employee first. If you take care of the employees and you make them happy, they'll take ownership, and they'll engage, and they'll do a better job for the passenger. And if the passenger's happy, that passenger is going to come back and fly again and again. And when that happens, guess who's happy? The investors. So
right.
It's really not a conundrum. I would say that the stakeholder may actually be the employee if you take a look at it from that direction.
That's where I'm going with this as well. That's my feeling. I think so often now employees are the best ambassadors possible to talk about what it's really like to work on the inside, And so often what I see, and I'm seeing, companies do a better job of this as of late, but there's a disconnect between leadership and communication around some of these initiatives, actually, in a lot of companies. So
exactly.
So imagine this.
Megan? Oh.
Yep.
Go ahead, Chap. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, imagine that you're sitting around a boardroom, and I've been here. And I have the CEO sitting at the end, and I'm brought in to talk to people about what we're talking about today. And I look at one of the executives, and I say, can you tell me what Mr. or Mrs. CEO, what their vision or mission is? And they look at me like, why are you asking me that in front of all these people? I can't tell you exactly what it is. And that's because we're out of alignment. We've got to get them into – everybody needs to be heading the same direction and understand it perfectly.
Which is why there's such a lost opportunity in the front end. And so where I want to go next is because you said something key, Shap, when you mentioned onboarding, right? That is such a missed opportunity for some of the organizations of immediately getting them immersed and socialized in the company culture, which hopefully is one that empowers customer service inside and out, right? But there's unfortunately too many folks. It's still that cliche of being parachuted into the jungle, and then you figure it out, and they don't know who their peers they can go to, their team members are, and that's indicative of actually not a very solid culture, right? So how do you think developing service awareness can be used then to improve overall employment branding, recruiting, hiring, and onboarding? Right? What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, so you just mentioned the term service awareness. Now, I may take us a little off topic, but here is a really cool thing. Let's give some real ROI. Let's not just answer a question. Let's give whoever is listening to this an opportunity to do something, okay? Take an index card. Take an index card and write down in the last week when you have created a great service experience, and since we're talking about internal customers, for somebody that you work with. When did you take care of them? When did somebody ask you for something? When did you return somebody's phone call quickly or get them what they need a little faster than expected? You write this down. Now, here's how the exercise works. This is the basic gist of it. But what we do is we give one of these index cards, and if you want to have fun with it, print something fun on it. I call it the Moments of Magic card because I define the moment of magic as that interaction that we have that's a little better than average. And it could be, by the way, it can be over the top. It can be, I'm a hero, I just saved the day for you. or it can be something as simple as I just mentioned, returning, getting a report to somebody quickly or returning a phone call quickly. So we give one of these cards to every employee, and we want them to become what's called service aware. So what we ask them to do is on Friday at lunchtime, turn in their example of when they've created that great service experience for the internal customer. And by the way, if it's somebody that deals primarily with an outside customer, I don't care, internal or external customer. Let's go with that for a moment. And what happens is usually about 5 minutes before noon when it's due, you'll find a lot of people sitting there going, okay, what did I do this week that I could write down? And this might happen for a couple, 3 weeks before these people who wait till the last minute, all of a sudden on a Tuesday, they go, hey, this is a great example that I should write down. And now all of a sudden, we've made them service aware. They're in the moment and they recognize, you know what? I just created a great service experience. That's the one I'm going to do. And believe it or not, they start becoming aware of it. Even when they know they don't have to write it down anymore because they've already written it down, they become aware of it. And I think it's a great way to start to shift that culture to becoming very aware of the opportunities that they have to create a great service experience.
And we know, Chef, that a lot of these HR technology tools exist now, right? We've got online badging, we've got high fives, we have feedback loops in the internal enterprise. So I love the old school, take out a card and write it down. But the reality is, we have social networks happening. We have collaboration online. There's so many different tools available to HR leaders and teams to make all this communication and praise and feedback happen. And so often it's just a matter of having a culture that can support that, make the decision on what to use, what makes sense, et cetera. But all very good foundational stuff here, no question.
Yeah, I have a friend that created a software program to do exactly what we're talking about doing. So you submit rather than an index card or a postcard, you submit it online. It goes directly to your manager. The manager then gives you feedback. Then the manager, without you knowing what the rating is, actually rates your submission on a scale of 1 to 5.
Right.
And then somebody that's above that person, maybe it's somebody in HR, says, okay, I want to see all the 5-star examples this week. And they start to go through them. And the cool thing is once you start to compile the best of the best, you take those examples and you start to create a best practices manual. So it's not an operations manual. It's not a policy manual. It's here's some of the best practices that our people are doing to create a great experience internally.
I'm just curious, Chef, when you're brought into an organization or a brand, what's usually that pain point that they're inviting you in? Who are your contacts internally at these organizations? I'm just curious. Is it leadership, the C-level, V-level, marketing teams? Who are you speaking to, and what size companies do you work with?
Well, boy, once again, a lot of questions. So
sure.
I work with all different size organizations. I work with, some of the Fortune 50 companies, and then I work with companies that have 50 employees. So it ranges. Just the other day, I did a meeting for a law firm. They have about 1,700 employees, and it was their partner retreat. Yesterday, I worked for a group of automotive dealers. I worked for an association or a group of dentists. All of these dentists are, they're the dentists with maybe 4 or 5 people in their office. So they're all different sizes. But here's the pain point. Very interesting. Most of the people that hire me, and this is going to sound terrible, they don't need me. So,
really?
Well, okay, they need me, but I'm exaggerating there. And I'll tell you why. Example, I just spoke to this law firm, and their customer service initiative is over the top. Very, very few firms in the country take their client relationships to the level that they have. They had a partner retreat and spent 3 days, and I walked in that room, and I recognized we have over 300 and some odd attorneys that are billing anywhere from $400 to $600, $700 an hour, that are spending 2.5 solid days doing nothing but talking about how to have a better client service experience. They're already at the top of their game. They just want to make sure they stay at the top. Think about the billable hours that we're sitting in that room, and you multiply it out times the number of people in the days. It's amazing. So some of the companies, so why did they bring me in? They brought me in to, number one, reinforce their message. Number two, give them an outsider's perspective. Number three, give them a few ideas that maybe they hadn't thought of because they're entrenched in the legal industry, and I'm working with multiple industries, so they're getting a lot of value and benefit. Plus, I can provide them programming and ideas that'll supplement and help them. And this is the cool thing. Training isn't something that you did. It's something that you do. They are going to have ongoing reinforcement of their message. And so this is what clients do. There's a percentage of clients, probably maybe a quarter of my clients are calling me saying, we got problems in this particular area. Can you help us? And so we've got solutions for them. We may send a trainer out. We may give them the online programming.
What I was curious about.
Yep.
You know what when we're running down on time, and Chip, I wanted to give an opportunity to talk about your book just for a second at the end too. But what I love, what I'm hearing right now too, especially when you go back to the exercise you walked us through, that you have some of your clients go through. That to me, and what you even just described, that's extremely powerful recruitment material, right? When you start talking about it goes back to the old Ford quality is job one theme that they used for a long time, which we had a recent guest actually tell us about that. I didn't realize the background around that job one is actually literally an automotive assembly term. It's the first car off the production line, but the whole point, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's exciting to talk about how I'm making a difference in this organization, right? And if you were to start putting those together and I make a difference, I touch this business in this way and make a difference. That's just really exciting, I think, recruitment and advertising, don't you think, from a cultural perspective?
Yeah, I think the idea is, you want to have a great place to work. And today there's places online like Glassdoor.com where you can find out if the place that you're thinking about working has a good rating, if you will, the reputation. And there's all types of, almost every city, the local business journal has, the best places to work. Well, there's a reason for that. They treat their people a certain way. And, maybe this is kind of a bit premature to give you a wrap-up phase, but here's the thing. You treat people the way internally, the way you want your customer treated, if not even better. I call that the employee golden rule, like do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Well, do unto the people you work with the way you want done unto the customer.
Indeed.
It
yeah.
sounds so simple, yet it eludes so many, but, definitely something to focus on when you talk about culture. There's no question about it. So tell us just really briefly, we're running down the clock here, Shep, a little bit more about your latest book, Amaze Every Customer Every Time.
Well, I think the title sums it up. But this particular book, what I love about it is I wanted to use one role model throughout the entire book. So I found a company, not necessarily what you would call a rock star like Apple or Amazon or something like that, but a company that everybody would recognize that was solid as a rock when it came to customer service. And when you start to hear their story, you realize, they really are a rock star because they've won 8 years in a row the J.D. Power Award for customer satisfaction in their industry. They went on. I decided this would be the role model when I looked at Business Week rated this company, which happens to be Ace Hardware, 4,700, 4,800 stores across the world, over 70 countries. Business Week rated the top 25 customer service brands. They rated Ace as number 10. The Ritz-Carlton, one of my favorite companies, was rated number 12. So I go,
wow.
Okay. Really? Yeah, I know. And this is a great company. I know. And in the book, I describe 52 very specific tools that any company can use to create a great, amazing customer experience. And I argue that all 52 of them apply to virtually any company. 52 is a fun number. You can work on one a week, or you can choose 30 out of the 52 that you like, and maybe once every week or so work on it. But they're meant to be used as tools. It's a book that's meant to be used, not just read.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I love that. Actually, it's real. Yeah. And kudos to you for including brands that aren't always so popular or blogged about or in the media, just everyday brands who are doing it right. That's super awesome.
Yeah,
so
everybody writes about those big, Zappos.com, which, by the way, I love Zappos, and I write about them too, and they're included in almost every book. But I wanted to give shed some light on somebody else that, maybe hadn't been written about.
Right.
We can always use actionable. That's what everybody wants. They want actually actionable steps on what they can do to improve too. Well, the fans of the Hourglass ran out on us, Shet, but let's jump over to the Twitter chat now, right, Megan? And we wanted to thank you again for being on the radio.
Let's do it. Thanks, Shep. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.
All right.